Hey there. Thanks for hanging out with K-Dubs and listening to the podcast. Much appreciated. Check us out on YouTube. Shoot us an email. Let us know how we're doing. Hanging out with kdubs@gmail.com. And as always, enjoy the next episode. So, Anna, it's good to have you here. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy friggin' life
No problem.
to come down here and shoot the shit for a while. So let's start off with the main job. You own and operate an insurance company.
Correct. Yep. I own and operate my own agency. I contract in with BWO Insurance, and they're located out of Oak Creek, Wisconsin. And I've been doing that since the fall of 2018.
Wow. So what is it like? Because I don't know the answer to this question. Owning an insurance agency.
It's busy. It's got its ups and downs for sure. You're not only providing policies for people, but you're going through a lot of their life with them, basically. You go through the death, you go through celebrations, people getting married, having babies, all the ups and downs of life with people and just experiencing that. And that's one of the joys that I like with being on the agency side.
So how did you go about owning an insurance agency?
Well,
how does that work?
I've been in the insurance industry altogether for over 24 years. I actually started as a file clerk in high school and kind of went from there. I got a job offer on the company side, and I worked in underwriting for 20 years, and I wanted to branch out on my own, and that's kind of how it worked. Everyone says you just kind of fall into insurance, and that's what happened.
My insurance guy tells me too. I kind of pursued it a little bit, but it really just kind of all fell into place.
It just kind of happened.
So how many agents do you have under you?
Just myself.
It's just yourself.
It is just myself.
Okay, I didn't know if you were big enough to have one or two insurance agents underneath you selling insurance as well.
So the nice thing with being contracted in with BWO Insurance, they're a family-owned agency, and they provide the producers with a customer service team. So I do have a team of customer service that help me do a lot of the legwork of insurance as well.
So when you have an issue or something through pricing, or if there's some special insurance, you're able to reach out to those people and they're able to help you out that way?
Correct. Yep. And then we also have an underwriting team with each company that we sell for that help with that as well, that assist with that.
What kind of insurance do you sell then?
So I do I'm heavy in commercial insurance, which is business insurance for people that are also self-employed. And I'm also in the agricultural side of things, too. I do agribusiness and a lot of farm insurance, too. And then your personal, your auto, home, and umbrella.
Oh, so you do quite a bit then.
I'm all over the board. Yeah, I've got a lot of unique clients that all the way from party buses to grain farms. So it's kind of a wide variety of stuff.
Well, that's a great thing, too. Just in case if the economy ever takes a crap again, at least you're diversified. So if somebody says, "Hey, I got the bus business. Oh man, we're gonna change venues and want to go another way." Well, at least maybe then the grain operations are doing well, so you're still gonna get your income from that way. Yeah,
it was definitely a struggle to try to restructure during COVID because everything was shut down, and yet we were considered an essential business. However, it's like, well, if all of our customers are shut down, how are we considered essential? You can't sell insurance to businesses that have their doors closed.
That are closed.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So you got in at the right time, but you got in at the wrong time, too,
right.
Probably.
Yeah, it was definitely a struggle to work around that. And now we're dealing with the inflation with insurance companies and, roof replacement, 4 years ago may have costed X amount of dollars. Well, in that amount of time, it's now over doubled. So companies are paying out more on claims and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
we had a hailstorm come through here, and if you look at the front tree in my yard on your way out, you'll be able to tell. and I went and got quotes for my roof. And it's not a fancy roof, peaked with a chimney in it.
Yeah.
and it was big money. And I'm like, what the heck? This was, I don't know, a year ago, a little over a year ago. And I was like, holy cow, like, talk about price increase galore for roofs. It's like, holy shit.
A lot of, there's been a skyrocket with vehicle thefts. So then we've had insurance companies flat out saying we're no longer going to be writing insurance for Kias or Hyundais or certain makes and models of vehicles. And yeah, so it's kind of been, a roller coaster in the insurance industry just because of what's been happening in the world today. It affects everybody.
So who the hell? So there's specific cars that they're stealing now?
Yeah, it's mainly Kias are the main one, and a lot of it's happening in, say, Milwaukee or Chicago are the big areas where there's the vehicle.
No kidding. I guess I didn't hear about that one. They're probably keeping that hush-hush on the news, huh?
Yeah, and I actually had a client where she had a Kia and she had her vehicle stolen, and it was during the time rental cars were hard to get at that point in time, and then they found her car, they recovered it, and what happened was there was a lot of damage done to it, and then the amount of time to get her vehicle repaired was extended because they couldn't get parts and all that. So the cost of the claims from, say 4 or 5 years ago have, significantly increased because of what we're experiencing in the economy.
You brought up claims. I'm sure it probably varies between homeowners and car insurance and everything else, but is there like a specific percentage of claims that you have every year based on homeowners insurance or a car accident or anything like that you know of?
It kind of varies. I'm licensed in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan, so it just depends on the area of what happens. So, you always hear on the TV during usually springtime is tornado warnings, Dodge, Jefferson, Walworth, and so it's kind of like, okay, I have like these clients out in this area, they're more susceptible for tornado damage or, so it kind of varies of the area of where we're at of what usually happens. So I try to, spread that out as well.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of different sense because I'm sure I just didn't know if there was like, I have, just talking out loud, I have 100 auto policies, and you can guarantee that 30% of them are gonna claim something every year, whether it's true or not. But so is there different? How do I word that? Like with obviously home, there's different categories and there's different price ranges, whether you want replacement value or if you want to put just a set number on your home, that you can do that. Now, is that the same thing with car insurance too?
Yes and no. You can take different coverages. You can kind of tailor your policy to what you want covered. If you want minimum coverage, you can do that. Or if you want all the bells and whistles, companies offer, above and beyond. It just all depends on where your needs are at. If you're driving around a 2000 Toyota, that is all rusted out, you might not want the full coverage.
Yeah.
Or the insurance company may not offer that to you. Right.
Well, I just didn't know like if like you have full coverage in your vehicle. So if I go out here and I get T-boned, they're gonna, my truck's totaled or whatever, they're gonna pay me what my truck is worth. Now, is there anything that's under that, like bodily harm, things like that are part of a homeowner's part of a automotive policy that can fluctuate in price or anything like that?
Yeah, so you can get auto policies are based on actual cash value. So, you buy a vehicle, you drive it off the lot, they say, it's depreciated by 20% once you take it off the lot. So most companies will have actual cash value on their policy, and you can buy back replacement cost or the auto loan lease coverage, where if you have like a gap, if you buy your $100,000 diesel pickup truck.
Jesus.
And you owe more than what it's worth. They have that gap insurance that if you do total it out, they'll pay for the gap of the loan of what it's worth and what they'll give you.
Well, that's kind of nice to have then.
It is, absolutely.
Well, especially now, it seems like if you bought a brand new truck 2 years ago, to replace that truck today is going to cost you, like you said, probably 20% more.
Yeah.
To buy this apples to apples from 2021 to 2020, coming up now to 2024.
Yeah, a lot of the used vehicles, because of the used vehicle market right now, they're really holding their values.
They are.
So I've been having people keep the full coverage on their used vehicles longer than, it's usually 10 to 15 years. I've been saying, hey, it only costs this amount, to keep the full coverage. You might as well, because you're not going to get out of it if it's totaled.
No, I got an 07 GMC, and I keep full coverage on that. Now, should I? I don't know. The way I look at it is it's like $20 a month more to have full coverage compared to liability. It's really not worth a whole lot of money, but it's like, well, if somebody T-bones me and I survive,
yeah, or
I want at least to get something out of that truck.
Or if you have a deer hit, because it seems like it might be common out here, that that would help as well, and at least you'd get something rather than nothing for that.
Can you tell me, you're sitting watching TV and, these insurance things come up. Oh, save money on your auto insurance. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. It was like,
Flow is usually pretty good at
Flow is pretty good. And then there's one other one. Progressive is the one I was thinking of, but there's like Auto King or something like that. Why is their insurance cheaper than your insurance or a country company's or a farmer's or something like that? And if it is, do you know why?
I get those same letters in the mail, which is kind of ironic because I'm like, well, they probably don't know that I actually sell insurance, but I get that we can save you $700. And I'm like, well, then you'd be paying me money, But I do open them up and look at them just to see what they're trying to offer. And a lot of the times it's either lower limits, lower coverage, higher deductibles, in that aspect of things. So if you are getting quotes, make sure that you're getting comparable quotes.
Apples to apples, right?
Because some may apply, like on a homeowner's, a percentage deductible. So when you had that hailstorm, you may have had a percentage deductible. And if your home is valued at, say, $300,000 to $400,000, they slap on a 1% deductible for wind or hail. Now you're looking at paying out $3,000 or $4,000 for a deductible,
compared to what your deductible might be, $500 or $750,
right.
hell, even $1,000.
Yep.
It's still better than that 1%.
So you got to look at that and make sure that it is being compared, to what you're looking for.
And that goes with pretty well all insurance too, right? That's not just homeowners; it's also auto insurance and do you offer life insurance?
I do not. Nope, that's something that I really didn't want to dabble into. So I have not. I'm just licensed in property and casualty. I've just, after the whole health insurance industry kind of took a weird curve there, I never had any interest in getting that life and health
Was
insurance.
that when the Affordable Health Care Act came out?
Correct. Yeah.
And, I thought about that the other day too, when I was like, the Affordable Health Care Act was a brilliant idea. Here we are, we're the government, we're going to offer people that don't have health insurance at an affordable rate. That's what we're going to do. And it's brilliant. And then they wrote an 1,800-page thing, and it was not so brilliant after it got put into act. It seems like it was affordable for a year or two, and then they just jacked the prices up along with all your other health care, and you're back to square one again.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Because it was based on, I went through that for a while, and it seemed like it was okay until they got to the income part. And if you basically were working and had a full-time job, your premium had over doubled compared to someone with, say, working, minimum wage at a really minimal low income. It made it impossible to get those affordable rates.
It seemed like it was affordable if you made like $20,000 a year.
Right.
And then like, oh, hey, this is a great plan for you. Here it is. But if you made 31, which you still can't live on, oh, well, it's not $180 a month. It's $480 a month. And then you're like, what? 480? Like, that's what I'm paying in rent.
Right.
At least back then it was, not today. But like I said, it was a brilliant thought. It was a brilliant idea. I just think it was done absolutely wrong.
Yeah, I think they let it out a little too early. They should have done some more research on it before, putting everything out there. And it just kind of seemed like
politics, I think, jumped in on that one.
It became a cluster.
Because I think that was what?
That was Obama
Yeah,
era.
but that was like year 3, right, for him? Something like that. So it was like, oh, hey, we need to get this out here so your president's doing something. And it's like, you could have waited 6 months, 10 months, 18 months and done it the right way. It seems like. I mean, I'm not in the government. I'm not into policy. I'm not into all that. I mean, I don't understand all that stuff. So, but it was a brilliant idea. So, yeah, I didn't know. I know a lot of insurance agents got out of the healthcare game.
Yeah, because what was happening is they would have to offer the policies basically, and their commissions were cut, and they were getting like $10 a policy. Well, it's a lot of work for $10. So
yeah, no shit.
I think a lot of them jumped ship on that part.
I don't blame them.
Yeah,
I really don't. I'm sure if you being your own insurance agent, if something happened where this policy you were only going to make $10 on, you're probably like, well, I'm probably not offering that policy to anybody, just because, you got to make a living too. Time is money. Yeah. So you don't want to sit there and spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 hours, whatever that number may be, which, by the way, if somebody was to call you and say, hey, I want to put a homeowner's insurance policy together with you, and you're starting from scratch, how long does something like that take on your end?
I would say the turnaround time, depending on what you have, because there's so many variables in it that insurance companies are looking at now. Your animals, for one.
Really?
We have a certain amount of companies that have dog restrictions or certain animal restrictions. So it's all about taking the time to find the right home for you and what you have. So, and I've come across some pretty interesting things as well. And,
Tell me. Like what? Tell me.
I do have one where they had an amount of, there was like 10 dogs, I think, in their house plus.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and they were all trained, but they were pit bull breed. So it just kind of put the limitations on where do I go with this and how do I get them insured. So, it just kind of depends on what you have, but I would say the turnaround time is anywhere from a few days to, a week or so, just depending on the amount of stuff, because you get into recreational vehicles, up north properties, boats, all that kind of stuff, classic cars, unique cars, tractors. So it just kind of depends, but usually the turnaround time is anywhere from a few days up to a couple weeks, depending on what you have.
And how much time do you have personally sitting there like, okay, let's just say it's a plain Jane townhome, and they got it's a married couple with 2 automobiles, and I mean, does that take you like 10 hours to sit down and say, okay, I got to look at all this other stuff? How does all that work?
Luckily, in insurance, has come a long way with technology, and someone came up with the brilliant idea to create a comparative rater. And so I'm an independent agent, so I sell for numerous companies, and they put all these companies in a rating system, and so you plug in the client's information, and it'll come up with an estimated price for each company that we have. So that's nice, because
that is nice.
I was around when you used to have to quote everything by hand. So it was, a lot of phone calls, a lot of, actually manually figuring out the rates with each company out of a book. So it's definitely come a long way in technology aspect of things, where you can go right on their website, boom, 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 you can get the quotes done. And it's all about keeping up with the education of the changing industry with insurance to know what company is looking for what, because they do have, say, specific
specialties.
Yeah, they each have their own. So it's all about kind of knowing what each company does.
So do you have to go through training like every year? Do you have to have 10 hours of training for updated stuff, updated computer technology stuff? Or is it one of those where the new stuff comes out and now you have to go to training?
Yeah, so with your insurance license, you have to have, I think it's 27 continuing education credits every 2 years. And so there's a lot of companies that'll offer online classes. You can go in person, but you have to have 24 hours of continuing education. And then companies themselves will put out webinars, things like that, so you can stay up to date. But it's a never-ending process of learning. So,
and I'm sure the in-person classes isn't like Tahiti or something, right?
Yeah. Yep. They pretty much have them staggered all around the states when they do have them if you want to do them in person.
Yeah, whatever's closest to you,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure they don't say, oh, hey, Anna, hey, we're going to have our seminar in Hawaii this year. Oh, by the way, we're paying for it. So
I would
just
be
so
all
you...
over that. But unfortunately, no.
No, it never works that way, it seems like. Do you do a lot more like car insurance than homeowners, or?
It's probably a split between personal insurance and the business farming aspect of things. I want to say I'm right on the 50-50 split of both.
That's good.
So I kind of have a variety of clients on the books with, if something were to happen, I've got a backup.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I really have any more questions on insurance. Anything you want to add?
I think I'm good.
You think you got that down? All right, let's talk. Let's get to the next subject because this is going to be a fun one. So you help organize and create the truck and tractor pulling for Southern Wisconsin?
Southern Wisconsin, Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I start? Does this, when you start planning these things, do they start a year in advance? Like, are you already planning next year's stuff, or are you planning this year's stuff? Or is this year's stuff already planned? Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. So I started planning this year's stuff as soon as we were done from last season, and so to me, it's 365. Like there's never really a break from it because there's a lot involved with the planning of the events themselves and then making sure that we have all of our ducks in a row. But yeah, the planning starts as soon as the next season or the prior season ends. We're planning.
And so have you started truck and tractor pulling yet this year?
Not yet. Our first event will be on June 3rd down in Leaf River, Illinois. And we'll be working with the Forreston FFA alumni group.
So is that a fair or something down there?
It is. I think they do like a downtown festival, and it's part of that.
Oh.
And the FFA alumni, it's their 12th year doing this. And for a town, I don't know if you've ever been to Leaf River.
I want to say I have, but it's been a lot of years.
Okay, I'm not sure what the population is on it, but for them doing this for 12 years, they have really built up their event, and it's just great to work with people that are on the same page and hardworking that want to see the event a success.
Okay, so how many truck and tractor pulls are planned for 2023?
So we have, I think, 10 events total, and we have in Wisconsin and Northern Illinois. I think our furthest one out is in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And then our furthest one south would be Leaf River. And then our furthest east would be Lake County and Grays Lake, Illinois.
Okay.
That kind of gives you an idea. I tried to pinpoint like an hour time span of around, like, so that I know fuel's expensive, parts are expensive, and so
what isn't expensive?
Yeah,
right?
So we try to keep it where the guys don't have to travel too far, and everything's kind of in a closer proximity.
So now when you set these events up, because I mean, obviously there's a lot of truck and tractor pullers in the area. Do you guys organize what classes are going to be in these truck and tractor pulls, whether it's pro stock, street stock. I don't know all the classes, so you're gonna have You're gonna have to fill in here for me. Do you guys decide what those classes are and what you can and can't do in those classes?
Yes. So we actually have the Truck and Tractor Pull organization, which is Midwest Tractor and Truck Pullers. And
Midwest.
That's my dad and I. And then we also have J&A Branded, which is my husband and myself, and we're the event promoters. So the event promotion stuff is done mostly on my side, and then the brains behind the tractor and truck pull operation is all my dad. He does a lot of the classes. When we had started this, it used to be, or it was, I think we had 2 classes, and now we're up to 12 different kinds of classes of tractors and trucks that we do at our
12.
events. So it's evolved throughout the years, and it's grown. The sport's grown, and my dad's loving it. You know, he's just having a ball, and to me, that's what it's about. We try to make it very family orientated, where my brother is also a puller in the modified tractor class. So it's kind of a family affair on things, and my dad's going on his 54th year of doing this.
Wow, that's great.
So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be able to spend time with him at the events, and then just putting everything together. So.
And you said he's the one that creates the classes then?
Yes. So we kind of look at a variety of things, the different areas, which we found some places they attract more spectators for tractors or more spectators for trucks. So we're looking at that and what works and what doesn't, what people want to see, how they react, so we're constantly changing, with things we came across in Beaver Dam. A young gentleman reached out and he said, "Hey, I have a group of buddies. We formed this class." And I said, "Perfect. We'll add you in." And so it's kind of neat to be able to do that too at our events, where bringing in young blood. So
yeah, young blood to keep this sport going.
Absolutely, because with the way everything's going with electric, we're just trying to enjoy the moments we have and hope that tractor and truck pulling hangs on for as long as it can.
Do you think it'll ever go away?
I'm not sure.
I mean, in our lifetime.
Yeah, I don't think in our lifetime it will. Maybe down the road, but
150 years it'll be fun to see what it's like. But I think right now it's too popular. Everybody loves to go there and see these souped up tractors and souped up trucks just blow all this black smoke and haul ass down the track and just putting out all this horsepower. I mean, people love that. Absolutely,
and that's the fun part of it. And you always get that first tractor that starts up and you hear it and it's like, oh, this is awesome, And with the J&A Branded side, we've been able to do things with the local communities. So for our Boone County event, we have...
Which is when?
That is Friday, June 9th at the Boone County Fairgrounds in Belvedere. And
be there
yep.
or be square.
And we're thankful. The people at the Boone County Fairgrounds, Deb, Jack, and Keith, they are amazing to work with, and it's just great to find people like that. They want to see our event grow, and they're always there for us when we need it. And we brought in the Boone County 4-H, so they do all the food sales, so it's a fundraiser for them. And the Belvedere Lions Club are coming in and doing a 50-50. So it's our way of being able to have these events and be able to give back to the local community and keep that going. Because you always hear that no one ever wants to volunteer for anything. So it's kind of our way of being able to do the event and be able to provide them with a place to come and fundraise without having to get 100 plus, volunteers to put something together or have that financial burden of
paying people to come in and do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it seems like there you have a great turnout. I mean, the last time when was the last event? Did you have one there last year?
It was last June, yep.
Otherwise, it was pre-COVID, right?
We didn't do one there pre-COVID. Elkhorn, I think.
Elkhorn.
I was thinking about Elkhorn.
Yeah, that was the Elkhorn one. And that would have had a great turnout.
Yeah.
I can only imagine this is going to be the same way.
Yeah, and on our social media response, we have over doubled the amount from last year for this year. So I'm looking forward to it. We got extra bleachers rented just in case, because we want to make sure everyone's comfortable and, And what we started doing is we kept our pits open so that the spectators can come and see the tractors, the trucks, meet the pullers, and just be involved, one-on-one, take their kids, have them sit on the vehicles. And so we've kind of tried that, something new, and it seems to be working out pretty well.
Oh, I think that's going to turn out great.
So
you're going to get these young kids that are going to come in there and be like, oh, I seen that one last year. We got to go look at it. And it's just going to hype everything up, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I remember as a little kid going to these tractor and truck pulls, and I'd have a notepad, and I'd go around and get all the truck pullers' autographs and stuff like that. And
still got that notebook?
I wish I did. I'm sure it'd be worth money, but so it's kind of something that I wanted to implement at our events because I experienced that, and it was just a cool thing to be able to do as a kid, was to go around and meet all the pullers and see their vehicles and all that. So
yeah, I mean, you just think about anybody that's gone to a local fair. I don't care if it's in Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Texas, wherever. They have truck pulls.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to remember whether they're getting ready to go on the zipper or something like that, and that black smoke goes flying down the track. They don't see anything, but they know exactly what it is.
Absolutely. And we have another club in Northern Illinois called J&A State Pullers. I'm sure you've heard of them. Mm-hmm. They have a couple tractor classes that I think they're just the coolest. And they so I have a hard time watching sometimes because they get a little squirrely going down the track, but it's cool. It's cool to see what they have done to these tractors and just the amount of time and effort that's gone into it. And
my younger brother had a pulling truck there for a little while, and he was a very small fish in a very big pond, and he did well for what he did, but he just started thinking man, I'm only putting out 750 horse, and these tractors are thousands of horsepower. It's holy cow. What does that cost to do?
I don't know. I don't think I want to know.
I don't want to know at all.
I have an idea.
That cost how much? Nope, I ain't touching. I'm good.
Yeah, it's but we have levels for all. So the beginners, if they just want to just get started and something easy on the pocketbook, we started the muscle tractor class this year. It is a farm turbo class, tractor class, and it's a little bit easier on the pocketbook than
is that
a starting point.
Is that like a stock class then?
Not necessarily
next
stock.
step.
Yeah, it's the next step up, and without having to spend the extra money to get all the safety features and all of that on the tractors, we just cut back on the RPMs to limit their
speed.
Yeah, so what kind of unique about our club is that we have the stepping stones for guys or girls. We do have female pullers.
Yeah,
to get involved and have some fun competition. So
when you brought up the safety features, so for those that don't know, when you get into these higher horsepower truck and tractors, they got to have certain safety features on them, just in case something goes wrong. Can you elaborate on what some of these? I mean, I have an idea, but he's been out of the truck pulling business for a while, and I've kind of lost.
Yeah, so with on the truck side, you got to have the fire extinguishers. You got to have I want to say this is not more of our tech guy questions.
Well, yeah, I mean
a lot of just the drive shaft loops for instance is kind of a nice safety feature to have. It kind of helps prevent.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Dan's Diesel Performance. If you're looking to improve your truck's performance, efficiency, or appearance, check out Dan's Diesel Performance. They manufacture turbochargers, fuel injectors, fuel pumps, transmissions, intake piping, and much, much more. Plus, they offer all the top brands in the diesel industry. They're located in Machesney Park, Illinois. Visit their website at dansdieselperformance.com or give them a call at 815-977-5865.
Prevent anything from flying.
And there's like a turbo shut off too or something, right?
Yep,
like
you gotta.
in case you break away, it pulls a cable, and that cable closes the turbo and shuts the engine down.
A lot of the vehicles are required to have the kill switches, scatter blankets, all that, shielding. It's just kind of something that's standard. We don't want to have anyone lose any eyeballs or anything.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, you said this is a fun sport, but it's also it also could be a very dangerous sport when things go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some wild wrecks and rides videos out there that you can kind of
check them out on YouTube.
Yeah.
There is some crazy ones.
A lot of years that we've been doing this, we've been thankful we haven't had anything. The worst that we've had happen where a guy's weights came off. But even that, if people were standing close by, they could have gotten hit with one of those. And so we try to be as safety precautious as possible.
Yeah, we've seen some U-joints blow on some drive shafts, and the drive shaft starts flinging back and forth underneath the truck.
Back in the Pete Shibby pulling days, I don't know if you know Pete.
Oh, I know Pete.
It was always like, what's going to happen today? He was one of the favorite guys to watch because you just never knew what was going to happen.
I'm pretty sure he listens in on these, so he might get a kick out of this one.
Well, I think he's gone through a lot of transfer cases and stuff that we've seen, but
there's a science to all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, even when my brother was pulling at that time, he's like, well, if I got this much horsepower, I can run in this gear, but I really need to run in this gear because it's a straight through. I don't have indentation, or I don't have curvatures in the transmission, so it's a straight through drive if I get into this gear. But in order to get to this gear, I either have to have this much horsepower, or I need to change my gears in the rear end and the front end of the truck so we can make that. It's like,
yeah, there's a lot to it, and the diesel industry is just crazy. Like those guys are so knowledgeable on that stuff, and I try to retain as much of it as I can, but it's a lot. So. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can have all the horsepower in the world, but if you can't put it down to the ground, you might not get that far.
Yeah, so. I mean, I had Dan and Heather on here a month and a half ago, probably now, or even 2 months ago, and just the knowledge that them two have. I mean, excuse me, they are brilliant when it comes to all of that stuff.
Yeah, and
all of it was trial and error. It all comes down to, hey, is this going to work or is this not?
Yeah, I had Dan and Heather and Tyler Phillips were like my three, and then Pete Shibby helped a lot too. They were my go-to on any question. If I'd get questions, can I do this or I have this, I'd be like, guys, can you help me out here?
I need help. Send it quickly.
So yeah, like they definitely are still, because they just got back into the pulling scene. A huge aspect to our club and organization because of all the knowledge that they do have.
Well, and then I'm sure if they're there at truck pulls and somebody's having a problem, I'm sure they walk over and, hey, what do you got going on? Maybe we can help you out. Maybe we've seen it before. I mean, they see a lot of different diesel trucks in and out of their shops. So if you have a problem, they might know off the top of their head. They might not, but they might.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've always been a big supporter of our club too, so it's just awesome to have, now that they have Trent, their son, and it's kind of cool. Like, they bring him to truck pulls, and it just reminds me of, like, thinking back to me, my brother, and my sister going to all the events and stuff, and also taking naps under the trailer, So it's just cool to have the family aspect involved.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about your guys' organization is that it's family. It's all about family fun. It's not just truck pullers or just gearheads or anything. Everybody can be involved.
And my dad, he is the announcer at our events, and so I told him, because he just had a big birthday not too long ago.
Really?
I said, Dad, I know your filter is getting slimmer and slimmer, and
it's getting a little holy, is it?
Yeah, he thinks that it's okay because he's like, well, I'm older now. I don't need to have a filter. And I'm like, people can be offended by stuff, so I'm like, so sometimes I gotta be right there to try to silence the mic a little bit when I know something's gonna happen. But he definitely keeps it fun and entertaining. I mean, I've gone to other events and stuff, and to be up there with him and listen to him and his knowledge that he can bring for people that have not ever been to an event. You know, he has a way of explaining it where it's entertaining and helps you know what class is what class, because we have 4 different types of diesel truck classes, you know, and they're all unique in their own way. But that way we keep it a fair competition, so you're not just lumped into one group.
So what those different classes, are they like horsepower classes, different horsepower classes, or how do you guys rate those?
So I kind of do like a brief breakdown of each. So our beginner class is your typical street diesel class, and that is chip and tune. You know, anything else above that, you're getting bumped into a different class. And then the next class would be our work stock diesel, which just came into play, I think, 2 years ago now, and it's really starting to take off. And if you've noticed, if you've ever seen Dan and Heather's website for Dan's Diesel or even Ryan's Diesel, they started making these drop-in turbos, which are a lot more affordable to do the drop-in turbos. And with the street diesel, everything has to be OEM, or work stock, we're allowing the aftermarket or stock appearing turbo. So it kind of gives guys and girls a fair chance to have that and not have to spend the money. And then you have Outlaw Diesel, which is the class Pete Shibby used to pull in, and it's anything under the hood goes, as long as it's still a street-driven or street-legal truck. And so we've had guys, we allow nitrous, so that's been pretty cool to see. And we did have one fire. I believe we had one fire once, but it was put out quickly. So we did have, you can run nitrous, you can run, 2 turbos, 3 turbos, larger turbos. It's kind of be creative,
Figure it out.
Yeah, because a lot of the other, it's all about finding the gray areas in the rules and stuff. So this kind of helps guys that wanted to expand in that and be creative have a class for them. And then we have our 3.0 competition diesel truck class, which is the
hood stacks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can have hanging weight, or you can have weight bar hang weights, the hood stacks. They have to have a 3-inch smoothbore turbo. So we've had, that class has grown actually quite a bit over the past few years. But I always look at it, it's kind of, tractor and truck pulling is kind of like the bar scene where, people get married, they have kids, and then so they kind of get out of it, and then they end up coming back. So it's kind of cool to see, to see that.
You kids are old enough. You are going now.
Yeah, and it's neat because we've had people that have taken a break, come back, or try a different class, or so it's kind of cool to see that.
God, you stay damn busy then.
Yes.
Between insurance and organizing all of this, and then you advertise a lot of it on social media too.
We do a lot on social media. I just started with I'm trying to build up Instagram and teach myself with Instagram, and I started a little bit of TikTok. But we've found that social media is a way to go with advertising. I'm still old school. I still put up flyers. I carry flyers with me all over. And we do a lot of, local newspapers. I've heard the Boone County Shopper is very
that's what I hear. I hear that's pretty popular.
So we did a lot of advertising in the Boone County Shopper as well for one of our events. But, yeah, it's kind of it's a learning experience getting to know how to reach your audience and the ever-changing social media world. Because if you've ever done advertising on Facebook or Instagram, they now require you, in order to reach an audience, you have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So, and you can, pick your target areas or, how you want to reach people. And it's just getting to know all the ins and outs of that.
Yeah, I'm still way behind in all that kind of stuff. I mean, I probably should be doing a lot more, like just even with the podcast. But I'm like, this isn't a business, not yet. I just do it for the hell of it. Yeah. So I don't have to worry about, okay, I got to spend $400 a year in advertising or whatever that number might sit with. So when you're advertising, does that money come from the people that are pulling in your club?
No,
or
actually,
how does that all work?
So that is all done through the J&A Branded Events Promotions.
Oh, okay.
So luckily,
Gotcha.
I'm thankful, very thankful. We have some amazing sponsors that we have, and it's been a difficult road because we did bring out J&A Branded in the heart of COVID. So, and then coming off of COVID and just the way, everyone is tight with their money, which I don't blame them. I am too. I've cut back on advertising myself with the insurance and just kind of figuring out where my dollars are best spent. So it's a challenge. I mean, you used to be able to go to an implement dealer and be like, hey, I need, 3 tractors and, some other equipment. And they'd be like, yeah, no problem. We'll have it there. And now they're like, we don't have anything, or we can't, if it's going to sell, then we can't guarantee it. It's a lot of obstacles. And
well, yeah, I never really thought about that for you guys. Cause when I worked at Deere, like the Boone County Fair would always say, hey, could you guys donate a couple of tractors or a skid steer or something for the week? And I remember, well, obviously the first year of COVID, there was none of that. There was no fairs, no nothing. But the second year, that's when they started bringing fairs and stuff back. But at that point, we were still super short on equipment. And we're like, well, we'll give you what we got, but it might not be what you're used to.
Right.
This is a used one that we got, and it's beat to hell, but here you go.
So far, we've had, we actually ended up finding my biggest struggle was trying to find a wheel packer. And because for one, the new ones are extremely expensive, and there are some counties that have them, but they're like a diamond in the rough. And we found one. One of our friends happened to be driving past the Lake County Fairgrounds and spotted it, that it had been sitting there for who knows how long. And it was in the weeds. And so we put an offer in on it, and we purchased our own wheel packer. So that kind of helped out with the events going forward. And then because last year I ended up having to, on the J&A Branded side, I ended up having to cancel a few of our events because I couldn't get equipment. And it's like, if I don't know anybody from an area, well, who do you call?
Yeah, and that's the difficult part, especially from our area that you're in, but from one end of the area to the other, from Beaver Dam to Leaf River, it's quite a bit of a distance.
It's a stretch, and so I don't know, and something must have been I've never had a gut feeling like this before, but I canceled the 5 events that we had, and all of them would have been rainouts except for one. So it was like, wow, okay, well, that all worked out great.
One in a row.
So
yeah, because they probably don't normally work that way.
No, and this year it just everything seems to be falling into place. We've had people reach out asking, how can we help, and it's just been amazing for people to want to be involved and help out.
Yeah, and I'm sure you probably can find some local farmers in the area if you can't find equipment, and they'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Use it up. You're only going to put 4 or 5 hours on it anyway when it's all said and done.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate with the events that we had last year, and now this year going forward of being able to find stuff. But yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. And one of the events we had last year, we went to go get change for the admissions, and I'm like, our dumpster never showed up. And so I called, and they're like, yeah, that's not happening. And I'm thinking, where am I going to put all the garbage from the event? And
thanks for the heads up, guys. Appreciate it.
I'm like, was someone going to call me? And he's like, I'm sorry, we have no drivers. And so luckily one of the guys there, he's like, hey, I know a guy. He'd be able to get you a dumpster here tomorrow. And I was like, oh, perfect. But, the struggles with that, and, we had issues where people just didn't show up. We had reserved, some porta potties, and all of a sudden, your order wasn't put in. So it's a lot of going back and just reassuring that everything's supposed to happen the way it's supposed to happen.
And that's what that's part of what you handle then.
Yeah. So I have learned now to go back and just double check everything to make sure everyone is on.
Make that phone call a week before. Hey, we're still good, right? Because if not, you're giving me like 10 days here instead of 24 hours.
Yeah, which it happens. And I completely understand, there's a shortage of employees and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's definitely a learning curve on the event promotion side of things on what works, what doesn't, and going forward.
So are you guys always looking for volunteers to help out then?
Absolutely. And
so if anybody's interested in how all of this works and wants to learn more about the polling industry, contact you, is what you're telling me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're always looking for people. We will take people, and it's a learning experience. You get to be part of a group, and we do reimburse for your time, so that's kind of a nice incentive, to help out with things like that.
Well, I'm sure that probably look pretty good on a resume for some of these younger folks that are either coming out of college or in college and they're home for the summer and hey, what am I going to do? Here you go. Because if you're going to be part of something like that, it's unique, but it's also businesslike.
Right. So
you're going to have the opportunity to learn how that specific business works. But then you can take that and correlate that if you get into business. What I'm saying, and you can correlate that moving forward. Like, oh yeah, I remember when I was working with Anna over there, we did this because of this. Maybe that'll work in this aspect too.
Yeah, and it really helps. The person evolve too. You think about the different positions that are in these events. You have anywhere from just working with people, on a daily to, we need volunteers. I have a guy that he gets paid just to sit to make sure no one carries beer outside of the beer garden, but he's great at it, and he loves doing it because he gets to come and watch the event and
watch all the drunk people running around there too.
So it's just kind of, a spot for everyone and what they're looking for to gain out of it, and if you're looking to get in the auto industry or diesel industry, there's so much knowledge there with these pullers that, you can learn so much just from being hands-on.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it's like all of them pullers are the same but different.
Right.
You get into that big 3.0 class like you're talking about for the diesel pickup trucks. I guarantee you every one of them trucks was built different. And I guarantee you that they were all at some point in time like, do we really want to do this? But once they get to the track, they're all fairly similar.
Yeah.
But they were all built differently, I'm sure of it. Just because we started off in the too hot to trot or whatever the one you said before. And then we upgraded to the next one. And then we upgraded to the next one. Now we're at the big show. We're at the big time.
Yeah.
Which is cool to think about, that probably all of them started off with the street legal class or the tune and go.
Oh, I'm sure. And I know my dad started out with your basic farm tractor, and now, the tractors we're running are jet engines. So it kind of,
those are cool.
It is a stepping stone, for a place for everybody to get started and work up and
entertainment.
Yeah.
That's shit. I could sit and watch a tractor pull all damn day, especially if there's a beer garden.
Yep.
Sit in one of them bad boys. Just, oh, look at that jet engine go down the track. That's sweet.
Yeah, and in that modified tractor class, I know it was brought up on your Facebook, but Dave and Brenda Gratz, they're celebrating their 50th year in the pulling industry, which is pretty awesome.
Kind of sounds like it's their last year doing it.
They're looking to retire. They say they're going to retire, but that never happens.
Well,
so I'm hoping that they stick around.
I'm sure they'll be around. I don't know what their intentions are. I shouldn't even speculate on it. But no, that's been a fun tractor to watch. Like even when my parents were younger, and they're like, that was a tractor to beat.
Absolutely. It still is.
45 years ago, it was the tractor to beat, and today it's still the tractor to beat.
Yeah, they've held the points champion for as long as I can remember in our club, and I give them a lot of credit. They do their homework, and they really spend a lot of time into that tractor. They've got it perfection.
And Brenda knows how to run it too.
Oh yeah. Yep. And that's pretty cool to see too, because my sister used to pull, and so that was kind of neat that we had 2 women in that class that were pulling, in that modified tractor class. So
we need some more women in this industry.
We're getting there. I think it's starting to pick back up some interest we've got on the diesel side, and then who knows, maybe on the tractor side things will
That'd be fun.
clamp up.
That'd be fun. So what else? I mean, besides insurance and truck and tractor pulling and organizing and all that crap, it's not crap, but all that stuff. What else? I mean, when you have time, what the hell else do you do with your life?
So there's not a whole lot of spare time during that, but
I'm sure it's probably less. Is it less busy in the wintertime? Sorry, I'm going to backtrack here a second. Is it less busy in the wintertime for getting your truck and tractor pulls ready to go than it is the summertime?
For the most part, yeah. In the wintertime, it's basically getting the venues reserved and all that. So a lot of contracts, a lot of paperwork, stuff like that. But it is more downtime. But we take a lot of trips up north, try to get up northern Wisconsin. My sister-in-law,
beautiful up there.
Yeah, they've got a place up in the UP, Michigan. So my husband's family, they do a lot of snowmobiling. In the summer, we've tried to schedule our events. We have a lot in early June. We have one in July, a couple in August, and then in September. My husband's very big into wake surfing and wakeboarding, so that I'm the boat driver.
Someone's got to drive that boat.
Absolutely. I was completely terrified at first when we first got it, because it's a big boat. I make some pretty big wakes, and it was a little intimidating, and now I think I got the hang of it. But yeah, so we do a lot of that and just try to relax, just enjoy the downtime.
Just going to ramp back up again.
Yep, because then once June hits, or now like starting next week is going to be our really busy week. And
well, I'm sure starting next week, now you're going to start making them phone calls. Hey, we're still good on that dumpster, right?
Yeah, I started today, and so far so good. I haven't had any, who is this?
You're from where? You're who?
Yeah, and I'm just really thankful. Like, all of the venues that we work with have just been great. The communities, we do a bull riding event in June.
I was going to say you had something else coming up here shortly too, right?
Yep, we do a bull riding event, which is actually the day after Boone County up in West Allis, Wisconsin, which is kind of funny because if you're from the area, you probably know Matt Noble. And so it's kind of ironic. We're down in his neck of the woods on Friday, and then he's coming up by us on Saturday. So it'll be nice on Saturday because it's only 15 minutes from my house.
Winning.
So I get to sleep in on Saturday. Well, he will be there bright and early. He always gets there at 7 a.m. to set up. So, but we started doing that bull riding. This will be our 3rd year. And we've the 50-50 raffle, the group that we picked, it's called Cross Star Ranch. And they're a nonprofit based out of Big Bend, Wisconsin. And what this ranch does is they raise quality meat for, and then it gets donated to like the Milwaukee Rescue Mission.
Oh, that's awesome.
Local food pantries.
That's great.
So they've really been a key to our event. It's a really good thing to see that this organization, because everyone knows like processing fees, all that kind of stuff it's expensive, so this kind of helps to give back to help take care of some of their costs as far as feed, just, hay, all along with like feed, the processing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and everybody likes to be part of a 50-50 raffle, I think.
Yeah.
I think I've always been a part of one. I've only won one once.
I don't think I've ever won a 50-50 raffle, but maybe it's in my future. I don't know.
Hey, there you go. You got to get that arm's length, though. That's what you got to get.
Yeah.
Is your husband tall? So you got a really big, long arms? You got to use him.
He always gets nominated to do the selfies when we do pictures.
Oh, so way up there,
he's got the long arm. But yeah, so for our bull riding event,
what's the cost to get in?
So another thing with J&A Branded, we wanted to make sure that it was affordable for families. So all of our J&A branded events, kids 14 and under are free, which is kind of unheard of these days.
That's cool.
And so the bull riding event is $20 for general admission for adults, and then kids are free 14 and under.
And then, like, for the truck pulls, is it the same thing?
Same thing for, Boone County is $20 general admission, and then kids are free 14 and under.
Perfect.
So, must be accompanied by an adult, or we will put your children to work.
Perfect.
So,
look at that.
So we will find something for them to do if they are
like
found
Mom and Pa need a night off, huh?
Absolutely. But yeah, we try to make our events family affordable, and we feel that, and the reason I say that is my sister has 4 boys, ages 11 to 1, the youngest will be 5. So for them to go do anything, it's expensive.
Yeah, hell, just to go to McDonald's, it's $60 probably, or $50 for them.
I know Culver's is like easily $100.
Yeah, but it's Culver's. I mean, you literally go there, you get your butter burger and your cheese curds, and then when you get that done, you're like, man, that concrete mixer is sounding pretty good right now. So then you go spend $4 or $5, $6 on a concrete mixer, and all of a sudden you're like, shit, I just blew $20.
Yeah, so I kind of modeled our pricing after that because we wanted to keep it family-orientated, family events. And 3 of her kids will actually be riding at the bull riding event. One is currently holding the title for World Champion Mini Bull Rider. So they went and competed last October down in Texas, and he took the title, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
So he is all focus, all bull riding. So it's really neat.
He's
to
hooked
see.
now.
Oh, he's hooked, and he has that drive, and same with the other. They're all pretty competitive, but they all have their own personality. So it's kind of neat to see that come out too.
Heck yeah,
so
that should be an interesting event for you.
Yeah,
probably should do well.
It's a lot of fun, and the Noble family is really great to work with.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a premier event. You can't go wrong.
Perfect. Do you know it's been on over an hour already?
Has it really? I don't know. I was talking that long.
Yeah, that happens. You sit down here, you were worried.
I was worried.
We probably better cut this off so I don't have a whole lot of more editing to do.
All right.
Anna, thanks for taking time coming down. It's good to catch up with you and see you and see how things are going, and glad to hear life's treating you well.
Yep. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. We'll talk to you later.